issue. So let's go to the Q&A now. And so Dave, do you want to read the questions in the Q&A to start with?
Okay. Yeah, if you would like to ask a question at any time, feel free to just click on the Q&A at the bottom of your screen and type in a question. You can also ask to raise your hand in the panelists, in the participants screen, and we can unmute you. It looks like we do have 3 questions already. First question is, who, and please give names, wrote ballot measure 1, and did that writing include any public process?
Who can answer this? You want me to go?
By all means, go ahead.
Okay. All right. Well, it was written by Robin Brenna, who's an attorney who's made millions of dollars suing, and it's no doubt why the Attorney General has said it's very confusing. It has holes, it's gaps, it's very unclear. Because what better way to set up your income stream in the future than to have an unclear ballot to pass? Because you bet he's going to be suing left and right as we go down this. But what did not have any formal, thoughtful conversation of clearinghouse, and it's been basically brought up before the legislator in the past and has been kicked out. So this is a way of getting something moved forward.
All right. Liz, if you would like to speak to that, feel free also, but you don't have to.
Yeah, I'll just say that, it was a collaborative process, and it was led by our prime sponsor, Alaska's oil and gas attorney, Robin Brenna. He has over 30 years of experience doing this, and he does have experience on both sides of the oil industry, but a lot of times working for municipalities on behalf of local municipalities. There was a public process. It involved several Alaskans coming together to write this. 40,000 Alaskans petitioned to put this on the ballot. The Division of Elections held 4 hearings, which were open to the public. SB 21 was debated in closed caucuses and back rooms in Juneau. And ballot measure 1 will have that ultimate public process when we all vote on it in November 3rd.
Okay, thank you.
So can I ask the question, how much money in taxes has Robin Brenna paid on his millions of dollars he made off the oil companies?
Well, let's leave the questions for the attendees at the moment.
Yeah.
We do have another question come in. If ballot measure 1 passes, more money will be going to the legislature. So how can we trust that that money will be used responsibly?
Well, I guess I can take that one. The ballot measure doesn't address spending, it just addresses the revenue, and that's based on our Constitution does not allow us to spend money by citizens ballot initiative. We can just raise the money. If you're concerned about how they spend it and the options are there for how to spend it, then you need to address that with your legislators. And that's what our elections are about voting for as well. So this is just a way to get revenue into the mixture, and we have to also elect people who will spend that according to our wishes.
That's assuming that your net value will go up. If all of a sudden you have more taxes and you tax business on top of the royalties and property taxes and jobs, that the net effect will be positive. You might have less money. You might have it in the first year, but 2 or 3 years down the road, you'll probably have less. What we want to do in Alaska is attract businesses to invest in our state and have a bigger pie in which you can tax, not a smaller pie with a larger tax bill.
This is Alex over here, and I appreciate the conversation going on. And I think partly this is, we can continue forever, but we do have a time limitation, and we're trying to keep that for the Q&A from the audience. But again, if we need to do further, we can. But for right now, let's stick with the Q&A, Dave. And so could you go to the next question? And we only, allocation-wise, if we don't get to all the questions today, we will post these questions on our Kenai Peninsula Votes Facebook, and we will answer them. We will get them from both John and Liz. So let's go to the next question, Dave. Thank you.
Okay. The next question is, aside from taxes, what is the purchase price oil companies pay for Alaskan oil?
Well, you want to go ahead.
Take it away.
Well, like I said to begin with, right off the bat, when you come to Alaska, remember these are old fields here. I've worked Prudhoe Bay, I worked Capark. I mean, I logged probably the first well when I worked for Schlumberger when Capark came online. These are places no one wanted to spend money. They did, and they brought a lot of infrastructure up here. But under the lease agreement is you got to buy the leases, and you have to pay the royalty at 12.5% off the gross. Like I said, 1 out of 8 barrel produced, every 1 out of 8 molecules of gas goes to the state of Alaska without deductions. So that is what they pay to the state of Alaska. And then on top of it, property taxes, does it go to the borough or does it go to the state? Income taxes are also paid on corporate income taxes. And there's production taxes that are currently here.
All right. Liz, would you like to speak to that at all?
I mean, I'll say that this initiative deals just with the production taxes. 1 out of 8 barrels does go to the state, but that means 7 out of 8 goes to the oil companies. And that's actually a pretty low royalty rate in current states.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, 7 out of 8, but that has to pay all expenses, right? You ask your fishermen at Homer, do they want to give up 1 out of 8 fish and then get taxed on the net?
Well,
Why aren't you, are you going to be,
okay.
you know?
I'm afraid we're going to have to cut off the question and answer because we need to move on to the next part of the program. But thank you both for being very informative and helpful.
Well, wait, I'm sorry, this is Homer, so welcome to Homer, everybody. I'm timing this session, and I appreciate Shay and Brett maybe hanging out a little bit more. Hopefully we're not going to interfere with their schedules because we have a time. But we do have about 3 more minutes for this Q&A. You want to answer, there's some more Q&A in there. Dave, do you want to read those questions? We have a few more minutes.
Okay, we can probably get in one more question. This is a question specifically for Liz. If you claim that ballot measure 1 will save all of the PFD jobs and the budget, how does that work? How so?
Liz, did you get it?
Yeah, I mean, this is a revenue option. It will raise somewhere between, you know, depending on oil prices, $200 million to $1 billion per year. On average prices in the past, it's been roughly $1 billion. But that is revenue that can come into the state, and it's not going to completely solve our budget deficit process that we have, but it is a step towards making sure that all of those things stay for Alaskans for the future.
Hey, we still have another minute and a half, so we have time.
Okay. Other countries like Canada are creating better tax incentives for producers. Do we think that if ballot measure 1 taxes producers more, that we will lose our major producers?
I think you just saw BP exit Alaska. And I think one thing we need to do is attract. When people talk about other royalties are better in different places, that's probably because, you know, because everybody has a panic to go there. Like Eagleford Play, right? In West Texas, everybody had a buying frenzy down there. And so they're buying royalties and doing this and doing that. And now they're caught and they're going down. What we want to do is position ourselves to have players like Conoco. And if you look, Conoco and others, we want to attract people who want to invest our money here. I just recently purchased a company in Cook Inlet, and it was very tough as a homegrown person to buy oil and gas properties in Alaska. We don't have that capability, and it's sad to say we have a lot of people made a lot of money in Alaska off of real estate and everything else, but a lot of people aren't willing to risk their monies in oil and gas. And until we can build up that capability in our state, we need to continue to always attract as much investment in this state to grow. Most of the philanthropy done in our state is through the oil and gas companies.
Liz,
I mean, it's like probably 90%.
Liz, do you want to respond? You got 30 seconds. Thanks, John.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say that this ballot measure only affects the 3 legacy fields that we're talking about: Prudhoe Bay, Kuparuk, and Colville, Reunion, and Alpine. The incentives for new production and exploration are still in effect. So I just don't believe the scare tactics.
Well, there's no scare tactic, it's reality. And,
All right.
and it really doesn't help me because I don't get a benefit, but these are old properties that are on decline. We need to continue them to work. It's pretty much the greatest water flood possible.
John, I'm going to have to stop you. And I really, first of all, I just want to thank Liz and John.